Hey everyone, have an interesting story that's kind of going through the works right now. I kind of touched on it in another video, but basically, Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, is paying a visit to the U.S. and meeting with Trump, and they're actually playing golf. So they're having a little, bonding time or whatever you want to call it. But this is a signal for people investing. Trump's trying to make some sort of a bilateral agreement with Japan, and I was thinking, what could that benefit? I said in my other video, like one of the biggest things that Japan imports to the United States is cars and electrical machinery and parts and some agricultural. And I believe they're our fourth largest country that we do trade with. So it's an important country. Plus, we have a long-standing friendship. Post World War II. Despite being bitter enemies, it's definitely made us stronger together as countries. But I was kind of looking at that and thinking, what nuclear stocks could benefit from this? Because with Japan's current Fukushima issue, where the reactor, blew up like 6 years ago, I want to say, and now they're still getting some of the residual effects, and actually the radiation is even stronger apparently than it was back then, and it's potentially going into the ground and pouring into the water, so it's a contamination type incident. But so I'm thinking, they're gonna want to look into that, as well as Donald Trump kind of making remarks with Shinzo about having him beef up his own military to help counteract North Korea, because they're strategically more closer, and Japan's part of our UN and everything. So Donald Trump kind of wants their country to bolster their own defenses, so the United States can possibly maybe pull out of Japan and use our resources elsewhere. Now, kind of how the United States has a strong oil lobbyist influence, Japan has a strong nuclear lobbyist influence. So, with Donald Trump, I believe, wanting Japan to build up its defense, which includes, missiles and, nuclear missiles, of course, because that's what North Korea is working on, is getting a nuclear missile tested and ready. If you follow their rhetoric, it's probably aimed at the United States. And then also, as a deterrent to their current issue with the nuclear, or the Fukushima factory. But I was kind of looking at like what stocks could possibly benefit from this, So I'm just kind of like looking at some nuclear stocks. So this one is Chemico Corporation. Let's see what they do. Chemical Corporation operates underground uranium mines and produces uranium. It also provides processing services required to produce fuel for nuclear power plants and generates clean electricity. And then I don't know if you've been noticing more or recently, but Robinhood's been doing these earnings call reports, which I think are really great. It kind of shows you what the actual earnings per share versus the expected. So obviously, if the expected is above the actual, that's usually a sign that people are going to be selling, and then vice versa. If the expected earnings per share is lower than the actual earnings per share, because it beat on earnings, to be higher, then it might drive the stock higher. But I'm looking at this graph, and on a 5 year, it's not looking that great, but it looks pretty well beat down. But on a 1 year, it looks like there's this strong bounce back, and it was pretty much right around the election. So I find that interesting. Now, I don't know if there was a prediction for Donald Trump or Hillary to win, if this was a part of that, but you can look on the beginning of January, there's just a strong spike up in this. I think there's just more and more interest, especially with talks with Japan. And then also another company, let's see, EXC, Exelon Corporation. See what they do. Exelon Corp operates as a utility services holding company which engages in the energy generation, power marketing, and energy delivery business. The company operates through the following segments: ComEd, PECO, BGE, Generations, Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, New England, New York, and so on. Same thing, they have their earnings per share. Here it looks like quarter 2 and 3 were both pretty good, but quarter 4 just looks like they missed on estimates. But a 5 year trend. This graph looks like it's got some real mood swings in here. going from a dip of 25, coming from a peak of like 34. But on a 1 year chart, and kind of same thing around the post election, it looks like there's a jump. It's almost as if Donald Trump's rhetoric during his campaign, where he was talking about why we can't use our nuclear missiles, which was a crazy comment if you ask me. But why have them and not use them kind of attitude. And I think that's another reason why the military, or I should say defense stocks, kind of popped off of his election win. But and another one I'll just throw out there, BWXT, which is the BWX Technologies Inc. And let's read up on what they do. BWX Technologies Inc. engages in the provision of nuclear components and products. It offers technical management and site services to support governments in the operation of complex facilities and environmental remediation activities, and supplies precision manufactured components. Same thing with earnings per share. If you look at quarter one 2016, they really lowballed earnings, and they sure as hell they beat it. That's pretty crazy. But it looks like for the most part they've been beating on earnings, and it looks like quarter four they're still waiting for, and quarter three it looks like they just barely beat on earnings. But it looks like it's consistently beaten, which is good, and this looks pretty good on a 5 year, even though it only started in 2015. But on a 1 year charts, I mean, it's up 55%. It's a pretty good run. And the same thing right around the election, there was a big dip, which it looked like it recovered from on all three of these stocks. So I'm thinking, that's going to be a nice play for this meeting with Trump and Abe. Like I said, with their issues with their nuclear factory, the Fukushima factory, as well as Trump wanting them to bolster their defenses, this is all going to be a trade deal. So I'm pretty sure the United States is going to be either selling missiles, aircrafts, maybe even some of our technology on nuclear testing. And in return, we're going to get probably Japanese factories, maybe car factories, technology factories, whatever, being built in the United States and giving United States or U.S. citizens jobs. That's Trump's whole thing, is creating jobs. So I'm kind of guessing that's how this deal is working out. So I'm pretty sure they're talking about this as they're on the 18th hole right now, or whatever, however far they are in their golf game. But United States is probably going to use its debt play, where it'll probably load Japan up on debt, or it's really how they do it with a lot of countries. They load them up on debt, so they're kind of indebted to another country. So the more we can supply them with like the missiles, the nukes, and everything like that, the more they're going to owe us in return, and the more we can gain economically, which I believe Trump wants. He's like the global economic dominance kind of guy, it seems like. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, the main thing I'm thinking of this is because, like I said, Japan has a strong nuclear lobbyist presence. So I really think this is definitely going to be something to look at. So I hope this is good information for you guys. I'll wait and see how this little meeting rounds out, and what kind of things they talked about on the golf course. And if you have any questions or comments, as always, leave them for me. I'm more than happy to answer it. If you like my content, help me out, click like and subscribe. I got other idea videos coming up. One for Brexit, because they're still voting on it and they're still seeing what they're going to do, as well as Trump's tax plan, which they're claiming it's going to be the greatest thing since like the New Deal with I believe it was FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So we'll see what happens with that. And I'll do my best to give you guys what information I can, so you guys can make the best well-informed decision. And as always, cross-check and check other channels and media outlets and information, and make sure that this information is up to date and you guys are able to profit from it. So I hope that was helpful. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you on the next video.